Started, they had 2 green flag laps and 22 minutes of racing. Today it is the full 25 minutes in prospect. 26 cars are on the grid. We've had 27 here over the course of the weekend, but guest driver Sennan Fielding did damage to his car in qualifying and therefore has had to be a non-starter. And although we had lots of rain yesterday, so far today is dry, it's cold, it's a bit windy, but at least it's dry, and that is a very good bit of news for the teams. The cars will head out to the grid, and there they are, ready to go for this second race of the weekend with the times set in the second qualifying session. It's one period, but with a 5-minute break to differentiate between sessions. And the British driver Seb Morris was the man in the wet who took pole position for a race that's going to be run in the dry. Yesterday, he was involved in a battle, he had a spin, and he finished 14th. And so the man that was a runner-up last year in the Formula 4 Championship in this country, looking forward for better fortunes today in his Fortec Motorsport run car. His teammate at Fortec, Ben Barneycoat, will be with him on the front of the grid. As we go down the grid, to the right, Seb Morris, to the left is Ben Barneycoat, then Callan O'Keefe in the Lotus Junior F1 colours, and the white car with the red nose is that of Louis Delatraz, race winner at Monza, championship leader. Go back a further row, you get to Jorge Zavallos, the Mexican in the Telmex livery, and alongside him is the American Ryan Tveter for Joseph Kaufman. Then it is Stein Schotthorst, who raced very impressively yesterday. And on the inside, up against the pit wall for Euronova, is Ukio Sasahara, who will start 8th. 9th on the grid is the distinctive Dayglow car of Matthew Graham. And 10th is where you find yesterday's poleman but runner-up in the race, Aurélien Panis, the son of Olivier Panis. Go back one further row, you find Jake Hughes, the Brit, who was 3rd yesterday. And yesterday's winner is right there, Levin Amveg. Starting 12th, he's got work to do. The yellow car, 13th, is Gustav Mahler. He finished 4th yesterday. And the lighter yellow livery for Speedfish Racing is carried by Stefan Riener. On row 8, it is Philip Morin. And then up against the pit wall for Mark Burdett Racing, Raoul Owens. The 9th row of the grid has former Radical racer Josef Zaruba for the AV Formula team. And for Fragus BR Motorsport, Robin Hansen. And he will start 18th. 19th on the grid. Look right, it is the Dayglow orange car of AV Formula once again for Roy Geertz, and his teammate Nicholas Surgaladze. He's up near the pit wall. He will start 20th ahead of Lasse Halminen, and then Max Biedermann, who had a spin yesterday. Row 12 is Cedric Freiberghaus and the American Robert Siska, who spun off and crashed the car on the warming up lap yesterday, so never actually got to start the race. And then the back of the grid is where you find Julio Moreno and Leopold Ringbaum, who will start last of all. He had an engine change, and that is why he has been put to the back of the grid. A quick word about Robert Siska, the American, great enthusiast for his racing. At 71 years of age, you might think that it's not the ideal category or the most obvious category for somebody of that vintage to take part in, bearing in mind it's got a grid full of teenagers who all want to be career racing drivers, but Robert Siska enjoys himself and he likes racing single-seaters, and the calendar and the tracks all work for him, and he's very pleased to be part of Formula Renault. Everybody has the same type of car, Tatuus built chassis, 2-litre Renault engine, but of course they can be run by different teams, and it's an all Fortec front row, good for Richard Dutton's men. Richard Dutton, the owner of Fortec Motorsport, and Seb Morris, eager to make amends for yesterday's drama. He's the man on pole position in that purple car. The Racing Steps Foundation colours, the red, white and blue livery, is carried by Ben Barneycoat. And then Louis Delatraz starting on the inside of the second row, 4th fastest in this qualifying session as we look from back to front going down the grid. And you can also see that Silverstone is pretty much dry. The curbs might be a bit damp offline. Some of the runoff areas could still be a bit damp and slippery. But we will see what we have in prospect for this 4th round of the championship. 3 races so far, 3 different winners. Significantly, Louis Delatraz, the absent from this weekend's race is Kevin Jurg, and then Levin Amveg yesterday. And there is Seb Morris at the front of the grid, and he will lead the cars around on this warming up lap very shortly as the drivers put some warmth into the Michelin rubber on which they will run. This championship, which started at Monza, from Silverstone, it goes to Hockenheim, then to Spa, where it will support the Total 24 Hours of Spa, the Blancpain Endurance Series Blue Ribbon race. It goes to Assen, it goes to Most, and it finishes at the Nürburgring for the final double header supporting the Blancpain 1000, the last round of this year's Blancpain Endurance Series. There is the Mexican driver Jorge Zavallos, who has raced in Formula Renault in the UK before in the BALC Championship, so he knows the national circuit here, which is of limited use. It's about 3 corners, the national circuit, so he knows Copse, he knows Brooklands, and he knows Luffield and Woodcote. really, that's about it. That's all he can translate. And it's another car run by Fortec. Different colour scheme, but the same squad operating that car. And at the 1 minute mark, the engines will fire up, and then we should be good to go as the grid is formed. No gaps upon it. Anybody that suffered dramas yesterday, I think, was largely mechanical. Robert Siska's incident that caused him to not start wasn't really huge damage. We lost Leopold Ringbom with mechanical dramas during the course of the race. I think a legacy of the engine change. Other than that, despite the action that we had, the drivers were remarkably well behaved. There is Louis Delatraz for Josef Kaufmann Racing. Louis, whose father, Jean-Denis Delatraz, was an F1 backmarker on 3 occasions, but had a better track record as a GT racer. Louis Delatraz came out of the BMW Talent Cup, the Formula BMW replacement, and has now adapted pretty well to a Formula Renault single-seater, so he will start 4th on the grid as the countdown continues here in readiness for 25 minutes of racing. Others that are worth watching, because it's such a jumbled grid, certainly will include Levin Amveg and Aurelian Panis and Jake Hughes and Gustav Mallier, because they were all quick yesterday, but they find themselves in the body of the field. There you've got the South African driver, Callan O'Keefe, ART junior team running the car, but it's in the Lotus Formula 1 colours. He's one of their junior drivers. And Callan O'Keefe also went well yesterday. He got the car to 8th place in the end. Somebody who's not a Silverstone expert by any means. Right, the grid is now being cleared, and very shortly the cars are going to be released. So not a set number of laps, it is as many as they can get in against the clock. 22 minutes gave you 11 laps yesterday, so 13 I would propose is the distance that they can anticipate. And a yellow flag being held near somebody's car. Now who is that won't fire up? Go forward 4 rows. Nicholas Sergaladze, I think, for the AV Formula team, and Sergaladze's car is being pushed off the grid, so the gate is opened, and Sergaladze with a problem. Can he join the race from there is the question. If he is, he'll have to start at the rear of the grid. In fact, the car is just as the formation lap gets underway, being pushed into the pit lane in front of me. So that car pits, and if the team can get the engine fired up and start him from the pit lane, he will be able to do so, but it will be behind everybody else as this green flag lap now gets underway. The AV Formula team goes to work to try to get the car into the race. Seb Morris leads them away then, so one look at the Grand Prix circuit, one chance to get some warmth into the tyres, and then we will be in business. And has the engine fired up? Yes, it has. So Sergaladze makes his way down the pit lane, and he should therefore start from the pits once the race gets underway. So the field turning its way up through the Beckett's S's. Fantastic part of the circuit, that one that the drivers love, and if you get the chance to come to Silverstone, make sure you head to that part of the circuit for any session, because you just get a sense of how brave the drivers are and how the cars work. Seb Morris then leads them down towards Stoke Corner. Ben Barnicoat, who's moved to car racing out of karting for this year. In fact, he had a go in the BMW Championship at Donington at the very start of the season just to get signatures on his licence before he turned to this main attack for the year of single-seater racing. Ben, a quick driver, and making the step into slicks and wings single-seaters at this level straight away, rather than doing anything as a junior category, but adapting pretty well, in fact, Ben Barnicoat. In yesterday's race, he was 6th, raced well, and could be a potential winner of this 4th round of the championship. Let's have a look at the grid. Seb Morris and Ben Barnicoat make it an all-Brit, all-Fortec front row. The second row is where you find Callan O'Keefe and Louis Delatraz, with pole position, of course, being on the outside of the circuit here for a 1-by-1 grid. Jorge Ceballos is 5th, ahead of the American Ryan Tvita. Then it is Stein Schotthorst, who raced well yesterday, ahead of Ukiyo Sasahara, who got on the podium at Monza. Matthew Graham, ahead of Aurelian Panis for 9th and 10th on the grid, and 11th at the end of the qualifying session. Jake Hughes, ahead of yesterday's race winner, Levin Amveg. Starting 13th is Gustav Mallier, and starting 14th on the grid is Stefan Rina. Philip Morin is next, ahead of Raoul Owens, and then it is Josef Zaruba ahead of Robin Hansen, who is 18th on the grid. Behind that, Roy Geertz, and now from the pit lane will start Nicholas Sergaladze. Lassi Halminen out-qualified Max Biedermann, who had a spin in the race yesterday, and then towards the back of the grid you've got Cedric Freiberghaus and Robert Siska ahead of Julio Moreno and Leopold Ringbom. That then is how the cars will line up and are coming to the grid now for 25 minutes, round 4 of the championship. And in a moment, Seb Morris will slot into place. He's backed it all off now, because what he doesn't want to be doing is sitting on the grid for too long. So the first half of the formation lap, the green flag lap, is to get the tyres and brakes up to temperature. And and then you can slow down, bunch everybody up behind you, and then you're not sitting on the grid for too long, and that's what he's now doing. Ben Barnicoat, like a number of others behind, urging the warm into the tyres, really aggressively weaving and accelerating the car up towards the grid. The multicoloured car of Stein Schotthorst. He had a good battle yesterday with Seb Morris, in fact, so more of the same anticipated between those two. Up to the grid they come now. So 25 minutes of racing in prospect. And Seb Morris slots into place. Pole position on the outside for the staggered grid, because that is deemed to be the line down towards Copse Corner, so it gives you the advantage. And of course he's got a car's length advantage as well over Ben Barnicoat, who lines up on the inside with the red nose, the red, white and blue colours of the Racing Steps Foundation, keen to promote and foster British talent. As soon as the last driver, which is Leopold Ringbom, is in place, we will have the green flag shown. Let's keep an eye to the very back of the grid to see if a bright orange car is there, because if creeping onto the grid is Sugalazzi, you know that he starts at the back. He's not, so he will start from the pit lane. And there is the gap where he was on the grid. So it's round 4 of the Formula Renault NEC. The North European Cup visits the UK for the second time, and race 2 is go. Out go the lights. Who's going to make the best start? Morris cuts straight across on Barnicoat to defend on the run down towards Copse. Barnicoat goes to the outside and Morris is there as well, but Ben keeps his foot in and tries to go around the outside. He runs wide over the curb. Going with them is Callan O'Keefe in the ART Junior car as they head up towards Maggots for the first time. But Seb Morris has defended well. Ben Barnicoat goes second and Jorge Favallas around the outside of Delatraz to try to get 4th place, and he's off the road. Favallas bounces over the curb and over the dirt as Morris leads the way for the first time through the Beckett's S's. The yellow car of Gustav Mallier on the outside was trying to gain ground onto Hanger Straight, lap 1. And Seb Morris looks as though, yes, he has been able to convert pole to the lead, and Mallier spins. Was there contact? He's hit the barrier, he's damaged the suspension, he's broken the wing, he ends up on the circuit. Big impact, I'm afraid. Gustav Mallier is off the road. And thankfully he's got the presence of mind to try and drag the remains of the car off the track, but that is going, as far as the race is concerned, no further. Smashed suspension, rear wing off the car. Instinct, I think, adrenaline says, put it into first gear and drive, and then when he's realised how it's handling, yes, time to park it. So Mallier is out as the leaders come up towards Abbey for the first time, and Seb Morris leads the way. The good news, if that car's off the track, is that we don't have to worry about a safety car. Delatraz versus Schotthorst, going through Abbey. Way wide goes Louis Delatraz. Takes the escape road, the slip road as it were, and eventually when he finds a way back onto the circuit, there he is. He hops back on, but he loses places and comes up the inside of the Amveg and Panis cars to try and gain track position back again. Well, Seb Morris leads the way. Delatraz gets himself in the mix well and truly on this first lap, but if anything, Seb Morris is getting away, and that means Barnicoat was defending from O'Keefe and others in strife, not just Mallier, but Raoul Owens as well. Was he involved in that tag, maybe, that put Mallier off the road? Delatraz round the outside there to hang on to his place at Brooklands as they come through to end lap number 1. Seb Morris it is who leads the way, making his way towards the timing line, and we've lost one of the AV Formula cars. That's down at Club. We'll see who that is in a moment as the car is pushed out of the way. The leaders go through then now. It is Morris leading the way from Barnicoat, from O'Keefe. Schotthorst is in 4th, Ryan Tvita 5th, and then Ukio Sasahara in 6th place as the cars work their way now towards Maggots for the second time. Schotthorst is under attack. Ryan Tvita going better in this race than he was in yesterday's. There is Stein Schotthorst, the Dutchman. Very competitive in yesterday's race. Behind is Sasahara. Delatraz is in 7th ahead of Aurelien Panis, and where's yesterday's race winner, Levin Amveg, is quite a long way down the order at the moment. In fact, he has not come through at the end of lap 1, so Levin Amveg has had a drama somewhere on the opening lap of the race. Down towards Stowe. Sugalazzi joined in for the pit lane, and he's trying to play catch-up. And is that Amveg's car being pushed out of the way? Just at the end of Vale, there was a shot of something that looked rather ART junior team-ish by livery, and Levin Amveg off on the first lap of the race and out of it therefore as Seb Morris leads the way. He was 9/10 up at the end of lap 1. We've just had coming down the pit lane Raoul Owens. It's Roy Geert's car, incidentally, the one that you can't see the front of, that we've had a shot of at Club Corner, going no further in the race. So a really dramatic first lap, 21.5 minutes remain. That's Amveg's car, I fear, being pushed into retirement, as there are challenges made up on the inside of Favaios, coming through the loop and through on the inside to gain the place. Goes number 5, Jake Hughes, who was on the podium in yesterday's race. And he's gone through now into the top 10. So Jake Hughes responding well after a poor qualifying in the wet for this race. It's being run in the dry. Stefan Renault looking for a way through there, but he can't do it. He's the third of those cars, dropping down to Brooklands. At the end of lap 2, over the timing line goes Seb Morris. He's looking strong up front in the lead. The gap that he's got has come down, though, slightly, 7/10 of a second. Ben Barnicoat now mounting an attack ahead of Callum O'Keefe, who runs third. In 4th place, it is Stein Schothorst ahead of Ryan Tveter, ahead of Lucio Sasahara. Delatraz up to 7th, Matthew Graham is up to 8th. The one that's lost out, and in fact has not come by as yet, is Aurelien Panis. Now this is a replay of lap 1. Look at the bright yellow car of Gustav Malje. Yes, I think one car ran, it was Amveg, wasn't it, who ran wide over the curb, and as he came back on, he tagged Malje, and that turned him around into the barriers. And you can see Amveg, yes, there he is, broken suspension, slow, heading down towards Stoke Corner. So Lavin Amveg gets involved in it, and he goes no further. And now we've lost Aurelien Panis, his teammate. So the guys that were yesterday 1st and 2nd, Amveg and Panis, are out of the race. It's a really jumbled look. There's absolutely no form guide in the championship this year. This is the 4th race, but everything is different, race after race after race. Louis Delatraz just needs to keep scoring. His main championship rivals coming into the weekend of Kevin Jurgen, Andrea Pizzitola not here. The one he's really fighting against is Stein Schothorst for points, but he just needs to score well, does Delatraz, or at least finish and score, because others are in self-destruct mode. Seb Morris leads the way as he comes up towards Village and locks up for 2nd place, though Barnicoat is being caught hand over fist by Callum O'Keefe. So it's all building up nicely, this. That little mistake from Seb Morris would have cost him time. How much damage has that done to a tyre, I wonder? In 4th place coming through now, Stein Schothorst. And there is Lucio Sasahara as the challenge is on for 2nd place. Coming down towards Brooklands, Ben Barnicoat's on the inside. Callum O'Keefe on the outside, tries to break as late as he dares. Can he go through? Not there, he can't, but if he can line up for the inside line now, going up towards Luffield, is there an opportunity there to make a move? No, Barnicoat, despite the fact he hasn't raced on the Grand Prix circuit before, has got that all covered. Ben Barnicoat now, you're seeing why Racing Steps Foundation are supporting him, but he's very defensive, squeezing O'Keefe up towards the pit wall, and eventually he realises he's got to give his man room. O'Keefe keeps on coming up the inside. Ben Barnicoat goes wide, comes out of Copse Corner ahead still, and Callum O'Keefe not fazed by that. Very defensive driving by Ben Barnicoat. He's still attacking, going up towards Beckett's. Barnicoat on the edge, he's lost it, he's off the road, through the gravel, over the grass. Now, was it a punctured tyre that caused that? Because the car seemed to sit down slightly low as he put the weight on it coming into Beckett's. And I just wonder whether as he squeezed, yeah, it looks like the right rear may have gone down. As he squeezed O'Keefe up to the pit wall, maybe there was contact, and has that given Ben Barnicoat a deflating tyre? Certainly its lack of pace is evident now, and it doesn't seem to want to handle quite as well as it should. So Ben Barnicoat's rather aggressive defence means that he's got a problem. Making his way down to the Vale, but it could be to the pits. Seb Morris, the leader, being warned about track limits, and again, look, as Barnicoat turns through the left-hander and the weight shifts to the right, so the car sits up, so clearly all is not well. Sasahara versus Delatraz then. This is the battle for 6th and 7th places. They are together as they swoop their way up through Abbey and then Farm. And Delatraz goes for the inside there, picks up the place. Good move, well done. So he made it stick on the inside line. Straight away, Sasahara tries to come back at him, but he can't really have a go there, I don't think, on the inside. If anything, he's got to defend from Matthew Graham behind. They come now down Wellington Straight, heading into the braking zone for Brooklands. Sasahara fighting back, he's on the outside line, but Delatraz for Josef Kaufmann Racing hangs onto the place. 17 minutes to go. It's going to be a different order this time across the line, but of course the one constant is the race leader. Seb Morris is still up front. He'll come through now, and as he does so, the new 2nd place man is Callum O'Keefe. The new 3rd place man is Stein Schothorst. And neither of those two have been on the podium this year, indeed nor has Seb Morris. So the top 3 all new to the podium this year, if things stay as they are. The gap Morris to O'Keefe is 1.4 seconds, but Callum O'Keefe lapped fractionally quicker a lap ago. now that he's clear of Barnicoat. Let's see what he can do as the leaders work their way out of Beckett's through Chapel Curve. There is Sasahara pushing on, and he's got tucked up behind him the car of Matthew Graham. Ben Barnicoat, incidentally, has just driven down the pit lane with the right rear just about off the rim, so it was a punctured tyre. He's out of the contest. Even if they can put a new wheel on and put him back into the race, he'll be so far down. The danger is that he loses a lap. If he can stay on the lead lap, there's the potential of gaining places. This was the incident. Look, he squeezes up against O'Keefe, and it's just there, I think, that the wing end plate of O'Keefe's car touches the tyre, and that's what does for Ben Barnicoat here, because it won't turn in properly to Beckett's. Then as the weight shifts to the right-hand side of the car, off he goes through the big water splash, and Ben Barnicoat gets back on track, but then has to head for the pit lane, and that will push him down the order. He'll get points in the top 20, and we've had so much drama already that he might actually, if there's no suspension damage, be able to get some points out of the race. He has left the pit lane, so Ben Barnicoat is circulating, and if he can stay in the top 20, he'll salvage something out of the race. He might even get the fastest lap, because he might come out in completely clear track space, and therefore no traffic to get in the way should help him. Up front, though, Seb Morris is leading the way. Comes down towards Brooklands. The advantage 1.4 seconds, but in the first sector, 0.2 quicker was O'Keefe. In the middle sector, 0.3 quicker was Callan O'Keefe. So the gap is coming down. 1.4 it was. We'll see what it is at the end of this next lap. 15 minutes to go. And again, Seb Morris on the timing screen being warned about track limits, and the gap 0.7. It's halved. So O'Keefe is a man on a mission, that's for sure. In yesterday's race, he finished 8th. Callan O'Keefe turning his way now, then up through Copse Corner towards Beckett's, but the gap is coming down and down and down, that's for sure. 14.5 minutes remain here at Silverstone for round 4 of the Formula Renault 2.0 NEC. Jorge Travaillos turning his way at the head of this train of cars in 10th place, up through Beckett's. Behind him it is Stefan Rina, and then Philip Morin for Manor MP next in the queue. There is going to be a driving standards flag and a warning board for Seb Morris when he comes over the timing line on this lap, because I can see it all being made ready for him. So the race leader needs to be careful about track limits, as down towards Stoke Corner comes Travaillos, and Rina is under attack. Philip Morin there in the blue and white car tries to go around the outside. Down through Vale once more they come. Stefan Rina, having lost out, tries to fight back, and in fact it is Raoul Owens who is now getting into this mix as well. Raoul Owens out of position because he's lost a lap after earlier dramas, but now proving he's got the car speed, so he's running out of sequence as this is the lead battle. And you can see that what was 0.7 came down by 1/10 in sector 1. It'll come down by more in sector 2. Callan O'Keefe really is pressing on now. He started on the second row of the grid. He is 0.2 faster in the middle sector, and there's confirmation about what I've been talking about for the leader. Seb Morris given this driving standards flag as he comes up towards the timing line. There's no penalty, just a warning. It's there on the timing screen for the team to communicate on the radio to Seb as well. So the race leader does need to be careful about exceeding track limits. If you repeat offend, that's when penalties start to fly. Here he comes, up over the timing line with Callan O'Keefe getting closer and closer and closer all the time. 0.7 becomes 0.3 of a second as they go through. Morris uses a lot of curb on the outside going into Copse, swings the car across, and then coming now towards the Beckett's S's. So let's have a look at Seb Morris and see where it is potentially that he's been running wide. Of course, if he's taking heed of that flag and the warning board, then he won't do it on this lap, but it may be at Club, because that's, as we've seen in other races this weekend, so tempting to run wide. Copse is another place where people run wide, and it's Seb Morris not only leading but under attack. He's got Callan O'Keefe behind him, and that in turn I think will affect the way that Seb drives. He'll have to start defending rather than being aggressive and attacking, because as he locks up at the end of Vale, the pressure is really telling now. Callan O'Keefe driving a great race here. He's managed to get himself up onto the tail of the race leader, and he's applying more and more and more pressure. The South African, Callan O'Keefe, who has raced in the Formula BMW Talent Cup. He has raced in the ADAC Formula Masters Series, so he's well versed in single-seaters, going after Seb Morris, who in turn from Formula Renault in the UK and Formula 4 comes to the NEC this year, ahead of the Lotus Junior team driver. They break for the loop, turn through the left. It was here that Morris had his spin yesterday, but no dramas at the moment as he comes through. Aintree is another part of the circuit where people sometimes run wide. That's okay, up on the curb, but not too far over the curb, so all is good for Seb Morris. In that respect, all is not good in the fact that he's got the second place man breathing down his neck as they come into Brooklands now. Callan O'Keefe looks like he's got the speed. He's inched himself up onto the back of Morris. Now, can he find a way through? They turn their way out of Luffield, heading up towards the timing line once more. And Callan O'Keefe now is just about close enough to challenge. Trouble is, he's running in the dirty air. 1/10 back is all he is as they come down towards Copse Corner. The cars flick through Copse. They're okay for track limits going through there this time around, but up towards Maggots now. Seb Morris leads the way. Callan O'Keefe has dropped back a length. Having caught up, if you can't make your move instantly, then it becomes an issue because you sit in the dirty air created by the car ahead. It has that negative effect on your own aero. And suddenly life becomes very difficult indeed. But look at the gap these two have pulled over Stein Schothorst in third place and Louis Danatraz in fourth. Still looking good for the championship as the cars work their way then down towards Stowe Corner. Behind them in fifth place, Matthew Graham, and then in sixth is Ryan Tweeter. But interesting that the gaps have opened up between the cars in the top six, whereas the leaders are absolutely glued together. There they are once more at the end of Vale. 10 minutes of the 25 on the clock here. And Seb Morris, if he can hang on to win this, will certainly have deserved it because he has had to work so hard. Coming out of Club Corner, using all of the curb, but as long as you don't put the right-hand wheels the wrong side of the white line, then all is okay. Out of Farm. Up towards Village they come this time. Morris flicks the car in. Callan O'Keefe behind him. In the first sector of this lap, it was Seb who was the faster of the two and therefore pulled away by 4/10 of a second. Can Callan O'Keefe in the middle sector bring it down? Well, he can bring it down by 1/10, but it still doesn't put him close enough to attack on the run down towards Brooklands. Silverstone is a wide circuit. It gives good racing for these cars and equivalent single-seaters. But as they work their way towards Luffield, Morris for the moment has it all under control. Callan O'Keefe tucked up behind him. They make the run now up towards the end of lap number 8. It was 11 laps of 22 minutes yesterday, so 13 is roughly what we're anticipating. As through goes Morris, through goes O'Keefe. 0.475 of a second is the margin between the two of them now. Ben Barnicoat, incidentally, has set the fastest lap of the race. He's 20th, which he gets 1 point. You don't get anything for fastest lap, but he has done the best lap of the race now that he's on a new tyre and is running in clear air. Seb Morris, the man he really wanted to be racing against for the lead, comes through now up front and turning his way onto the hanger straight for the 9th time of asking. Callan O'Keefe's efforts, I think, may come to naught because it looks as though Morris now is responding once again. He's starting to just ever so slightly edge away as they come into Stowe Corner, and O'Keefe's challenge, for the moment at least, has taken a breather. He comes down to the end of Vale. Morris turning his way through Vale and then towards Club Corner, this long looping right-hander. You have two bites at these days, really. Reprofiled when the new circuit was put in a few years back. Now, past the wing, past the Formula 1 pits, up towards Abbey. In Sector 1, he's quicker. In Sector 2, which is the part they're in now, and it's a really fascinating sector because it's got some high-speed bits and some very slow corners. It's the real compromise sector. Morris locks up, carries the speed into Village, up towards the loop now. 7.5 minutes to go. Is O'Keefe faster within this sector? He looks a little bit nearer coming through Aintree. Rides the curb on the inside and has brought the gap down ever so slightly, but the overall gain is negligible. They are well clear of Stein Schothorst, but this fascinating battle for the lead turns now through Brooklands once again. The British driver, Seb Morris, not had a Brit win this year. He could be the man. He turns his way now up through Luffield and heads towards the timing line once again. This must seem like a very long 25 minutes for Seb Morris. It was a good effort in qualifying. The rain came just at the start of the session. He was on the radio to the team straight away to say, get the wets ready. He dived in, the team was ready for him, even though it wasn't raining at the time at the start and finish line. It was raining on the back of the circuit, and so Seb called it well, got the car onto wets, and therefore got more mileage in than some of his rivals did, and took that pole position from Fortec teammate Ben Barnicoat. The rest filed through Shot Horse is third, Delatraz runs fourth, ahead of Matthew Graham. Jake Hughes is sixth, and then Ryan Tvita in seventh, but Jake Hughes having started 11th in the top six. Good effort that from him as well. Robert Siska is the man running 21st, Raoul Owens 22nd after his earlier dramas. This is the lead battle with 6 minutes on the clock, and O'Keefe is having another go. In fact, this time, the top two both setting personal bests within the first sector. And Stein Shot Horse likewise, albeit not quite as quick as the two ahead of him, so he's not catching. But this battle is joined again, isn't it? O'Keefe is on the back of Morris as they come into club corner. Through they come, out of club, up past the wing, and is O'Keefe able now to make a move. Ideally, I suppose, he'd like to do it up at the loop, where it's a slow corner and you can dive up under braking. But Seb Morris has the advantage as he comes through farm. Quick check in the mirror to see where Callan O'Keefe is. 5.5 minutes, give or take, remain here at Silverstone for this second race of the weekend in Formula Renault 2-litre NEC. Up now, out of the loop, comes Callan O'Keefe in sector one. Morris was the quicker of the two. In the middle sector, O'Keefe is the faster by 4 thousandths of a second. Very evenly matched these two are. Shot Horse runs third in the background, and there, turning his way out of Copse Corner, is the 71-year-old American Robert Siska, former Atlantic racer back home. And as I said on the grid, it may not seem the most obvious choice to go racing in at his age, but he enjoys it. He likes single-seater racing cars, the calendar works, the tracks that he goes to he likes, and Robert Siska is a very welcome part of Formula Renault NEC. Didn't get into the race yesterday because he crashed on the green flag lap, but it's good to have him in the race now as the leaders work their way out of Copse Corner. And that, I fear, is Delatraz, who has stopped coming out of Luffield. It is the championship leader, Louis Delatraz, has ground to a halt at pit in. And what has caused that? The Josef Kaufmann racing car is going no further, and Louis Delatraz will be pushed out of the way by the marshals, but this doesn't look like he's got any damage, so you can only assume it's mechanical. Down they come to Stowe for the race lead. 4 minutes on the clock. Seb Morris versus Callan O'Keefe, having his best showing of the season so far. Seb raced well early on yesterday, but then had a spin whilst trying to defend, and that really compromised him. He comes to the end of Vale now, but O'Keefe just will not go away. Despite the best efforts of Seb Morris, Callan O'Keefe is staying with him. Out of club they come now. The demise of Delatraz is going to be good news for Barnicoat. It'll give him another point in the championship. There is Louis Delatraz being pushed down the pit lane, but mystified as to what's happened to it. It doesn't look damaged. Let's see. This is the replay, but he's just slow through Luffield. Something mechanical has hit, and so Louis Delatraz, in fairness to him, keeps out of everybody's way, right up onto the curb there to get out of people's way. He knew he had a problem, and Louis Delatraz is out of the race. He won the opening round of the championship at Monza. Here, he is a spectator with 3 more minutes and change remaining. Down to Brooklands comes Seb Morris. He's on lap number 11. It's been a very good drive, this, and again, look, he's been able to edge away from Callan O'Keefe. The gap is slightly greater as they come down towards Brooklands this time. Through Luffield, speed building. Morris gets down the power, the back tries to step out of line, he runs up onto the curb. Callan O'Keefe has dropped back a little bit, perhaps taking a breather away from that dirty aero. And now he comes over the line, down to Copse Corner, 0.3 of a second back. In fairness, it's nearly 4, it's 0.399. There is Stein Shot Horse, who just cannot do anything about those ahead of him. In 4th place now, Matthew Graham. 5th is Jake Hughes, who's recovered well, having been 11th on the grid. Then it's Ryan Tvita. Ukiya Sasahara goes through 7th. And 8th is Robin Hansen, and then 9th is the next train headed by, no longer Raoul Owens, who's a lap down for track position, but Jorge Zavallos ahead of Stefan Rita. 2 more minutes remain here at Silverstone. It's round 4 of the championship, and are we going to have a win for Seb Morris or for Callan O'Keefe? The pink and purple car of Seb Morris leads the way as he drops down through Vale. O'Keefe inching up again, potentially under braking. Let's see what he does here as they swing towards Club Corner. There's another track limit warning going for Raoul Owens at the moment. He is a long way back anyway, a lap down in 20th position. No further warnings for Seb Morris, so the message got through right enough, and there's going to be 1 more lap at the end of this, looking at the clock as they work their way now up through Abbey and then Farm. 13 laps was the prediction. It's going to go to that seemingly as here they come towards Village once again. a little bit deeper into that corner, Callan O'Keefe. Is that going to lose him a fraction of time? There's the warning board for Raoul Owens, but he's 20th and a lap down, so it's of little consequence to the overall outcome of the race, but he will get that board as he comes through this time. The leading car up towards the loop, that was Tavayos going wide, gets back on ahead of the lapped Owens. Raoul Owens tries to go around the outside here. This isn't a battle for position, so the only real reason for Tavayos to defend is so that he stays between Stefan Rina and Tavayos, does Raoul Owens, but it doesn't work because Owens gets mugged by Rina on the way up towards the left-hander at the loop, and now it's game on because Jorge Tavayos is going to be caught by Stefan Rina by the end of Wellington Straight. That is for 9th and 10th places. The Telmax car for Fortec just ahead of the Stefan Rina Speedfish Racing Team entry. So the race leaders are on the last lap. We've got 40 seconds of the race on the clock, but the cars have already gone through. The last lap now on the way, and Seb Morris has just about shaken off Callan O'Keefe. As they started this lap, the gap was 7/10ths of a second, and that looks as though it's job done. Ahead of him is Robert Siska, so there's some traffic to negotiate on this lap. That will be sorted out this time, and as they come down towards Stoke Corner for this lap, up front there, you can see Seb Morris turns his way into Stoke Corner. Siska is ahead and should get out of the way down through the Vale, all being well. The American driver hopefully will see the leader coming to the end of Vale. Does he get out of the way? Yes, he does. And there is O'Keefe, who goes through as well. And Seb Morris understandably hesitated slightly, trying to work out what the back marker was going to do. Callan O'Keefe charges through. The gap is down a little bit more, but I still can't see O'Keefe getting close enough to challenge as they work their way now up once again towards Abbey. It's the last lap of this second race of the weekend here. The cars now make their way up towards the right-hander at Village, turning their way towards the checkered flag, and win number 1 of the season is Seb Morris. It's another different winner. It will be 4 winners out of 4 races that we've had this year. So as here he comes, Seb Morris exits Aintree, chasing on behind him Callan O'Keefe, and as the cars work their way down towards Brooklands for the last time, the British driver is going to win on home soil. Seb Morris turns his way into the left-hander at Brooklands, sets the car up for Luffield. The checkered flag will await, and so too will a win in round 4 of the Formula Renault 2.0 NEC, the 2-litre North European Cup round 4. Will head the way of Seb Morris. Great drive behind him by Callan O'Keefe to apply the pressure all the way. Seb Morris wins at Silverstone as he comes across the line, and he's a very, very, very happy man indeed. Seb Morris takes victory. The man from Wrexham defeats Callan O'Keefe and Stein Schotthorst, good for the podium. And here, on the last lap, a change for place, because Stefan Rina has gone through ahead of Jorge Tavayos, so that's the change for 9th spot. Rina goes through, and all of that really has been thanks to Raoul Owens trying to get in the mix, even though he's a lap down. Over the timing line comes Rina for 9th, Tavayos for 10th, and behind them in the orange and white car, Philip Morin rounds out the top 11. Raoul Owens comes home 20th, a lap down, but he played with all the drivers on the lead lap as best he could, but in a sense compromised their race to a degree. But Seb Morris wins by just under half a second. He's absolutely over the moon about that. Seb, who's had a lot of driver coaching in the past from Blancpain GT racer Andy Merrick, who's local to him, and Seb moving from Formula 4 to Formula Renault NEC this year, putting all of the lessons learned to good use. You can see how happy he is, punching the air on his in-lap. And qualifying set him up for that by being on pole position and making the right call at the right time to go on to the wet tyres. So the drivers will make their way to Parc Fermé. For Seb Morris then, the victory comes ahead of Callan O'Keefe, and Stein Schotthorst will be the other driver that we will have on the podium. A very bruising first few laps, which cost something like 4 cars the chance of a finish. But in the end, it was all about the leading 2. Some battles went on lower down the order, but there was just nothing quite like the lead battle as Seb Morris had to defend from Callan O'Keefe, and did so by 0.459 of a second. Stein Schotthorst 3rd, and for 4th place, Matthew Graham ahead of Jake Hughes and Ryan Tveter. Ukio Sasahara 7th, ahead of Robin Hansen. Stefan Rina 9th on the penultimate corner from Jorge Tavayos and Philip Morin. Josef Zaruba rounding out the leading dozen. Behind, in 13th place, Julio Moreno, up from the 13th row. Started 25th, finished 13th. A good effort ahead of Lassie Halminen. Cedric Freiberghaus, and then Leopold Ringbom. Max Biedermann was 17th, Ben Barnicoat 18th after a pit stop, Robert Siska 19th, and Raoul Owens 20th. They were the only finishers. Delatraz retired, Sergalatza retired, Panis retired as well early on, and some didn't even get to the end of the first lap. Amberg was a retirement. Roy Geertz and Gustav Mallier also retired right at the very start. So the leading drivers make their way now down the pit lane. The cars will, for the top three, be stopped in Parc Fermé, but they are. And in the middle is Seb Morris, who will step from the car and no doubt start his celebrations. A very good drive indeed from the Brit. Puts the steering wheel back on. He'll unplug all the cords and make sure that everything is good. Visor up, stands on top of the car in time-honoured fashion. Seb Morris wins round 4 of the championship here at Silverstone, and a very happy man he is too. Goes to congratulate the family. What a race, they say, and it certainly was. Very happy driver indeed. And Seb will make his way shortly up to the podium.
Well done, Bob. It's amazing race. So
Is that Papa?
Dad's in on the act as well. There's hardly anybody, I think, he's not congratulated. All the family there. And if you've not had a hug in Parc Fermé, please queue here, because Seb has accounted for most people. Grandparents as well. And the family can celebrate. Wow, Seb absolutely over the moon with that result. Oh yeah, more people needed to be congratulated. Oh, poor photographer's been ignored. Right, another team. Anybody else? The next round of the championship is at Hockenheim. If Seb has finished hugging everybody, he might be on the grid. Ricky Christodoulou is driver coach there as well. Right, anybody left?
Coming to the podium.
Come to the podium, Seb. There are more people to hug. Yes, right. So,
Thank you. That was good.
A great drive, and you can see the celebrations and how pleased he is with all of that. Rightly so, because it was a great drive.
Yeah, right here.
Helmet off.
Not yet.
And Seb, who can be quite an emotional character, is going to make his way up to the podium now. And let's try and have a word and a hug with the winner. Jack Nicholls is down there.
Seb, congratulations. First win in Formula Renault. How is it?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable feeling. We had a shocking race yesterday. I just chilled out in the evening, overcame my demons, and really got my head down, focused on hitting all my marks, no pressure, and we did it.
Brilliant. But you were under pressure the whole way.
Yeah, I was under pressure from Callan the whole way, but you know, I've dealt with that my whole career. I had similar situations in 2012 when I was here and won twice in Formula Renault Park. You know, there's a guy always on my tail, and you just got to forget about it and just hit all your marks, all your apexes, get good exits, and then they won't be able to do you.
Brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great drive by Seb Morris, and you can see the relief as much as the delight. Yesterday it was a bad race for him. It didn't go anyway like according to plan, but he makes his way now up to the podium through the gate, around the back of the podium, and then onto the top step. So the British driver scores victory, and he will be joined by Callan O'Keefe and Stein Schotthorst. But the real fascination in this next is points, because with Delatraz not scoring, and with one or two drivers that raced well at Monza not even coming to Silverstone, I think Stein Schotthorst could now be the man in the box seat, but we'll do some number crunching very shortly. Next stop is Hockenheim, 3 races there, and then Spa at the end of July. And if you've never been to Spa for the 24 hours, then you must go. It's a great weekend, and it's not just about GT cars. There's lots of good support races, and the Formula Renault NEC will be part of that weekend. So the drivers making their way to the podium. There they are. The third place driver, Stein Schotthorst, in his multicoloured overalls is there, part of the McGregor clothing family. That could be the latest fashion design for the firm, I think. Callan O'Keefe is there for second. At the top step of the podium, Seb Morris makes his way as a race winner for the first time this year for the very top step. And the British driver is victorious on home soil. Fortec Motorsport, I think, will send a representative to the podium. British driver, British team conquers all at Silverstone. Well done, Seb Morris. Victory at Silverstone, and a very sweet victory indeed after his dramas yesterday. And the presentations now to be made in reverse order as the championship management team hand over the trophy to Stein Schotthorst, who's marked himself out as a man to watch for the rest of the year, but so too has Seb Morris. And Callan O'Keefe, in fairness, with some very good driving indeed, getting himself for second place. There he is getting his trophy, Callan O'Keefe, second place, and Seb Morris will get the trophy now as the race winner. Great smile on his face, and in a week in which he celebrated his grandpa's 70th birthday, there's more celebrating to be done in the family now. He scored victory, and all the drivers now huddled together on the top step for the podium, team wrap and all, and photographs taken at the driver's feet, somewhat ominously, is the champagne. And is Seb Morris going to be as committed with the bottle as he was on the track? The answer is yes. Callan O'Keefe, I fear he's not going to be quick enough, and so he gets soaked. So does Stein Schotthorst. So does anybody within shot. And Stein Schotthorst gets an eyeful. Seb Morris takes the victory, and with it the spoils. So good effort by Seb, and victory is his. Round 4 of the championship gives us a 4th different winner of the season. Let's look back on some of the highlights of the race that started badly for Nicholas Sögaladze, his car having to be pushed into the pit lane. When the race got underway, Morris defended straight away, moved across on Ben Barnicoat. Ben gave it his best shot, tried to stay with Morris around the outside at Copse. It was just not quite enough. It was the longer line. Then it all kicked off in midfield. Gustav Malia being turned around and into the wall. Levin Ambeek, who got involved in that, was out as well with broken suspension. And that did for him. More drama, Club Corner, lap 1, Roy Geertz off the road. As the field turned its way up through Abbey, Louis Delatraz ran wide, had to take the service road to get back onto the circuit. That cost him a whole heap of ground. Stein Schotthorst leading the queue of cars that went past him. Then contact as Barnicoat tried to squeeze Callan O'Keefe. The winged end plate of O'Keefe's car just skimming the rear tyre of Barnicoat, and as he got to Beckett, some of the air came out of the rubber. Barnicoat went off the road, and eventually he would limp back to the pit lane. He did do the fastest lap of the race on a new tyre, but that was not what he was after. Louis Delatraz raced well early on. He worked his way up the order, but then ultimately he started to drop down, and a mechanical problem put him out of the race. Seb Morris, though, continued to lead despite the pressure of Callan O'Keefe. A spin coming onto the Hanger Straight with more damage was Sögaladze. He was out of the race. That was the end of him. Delatraz, championship leader, coming to Silverstone, a retirement. But Seb Morris was the man who came through victorious and made it 4 different winners in the 4 rounds of the championship. The next round of the championship is at Hockenheim. But for now, from Silverstone, from Jack Nicholls in the pits and David Addison, it's goodbye.